Hi there, this is Tom. Just a quick message before we start the episode. We had some technical problems and I'm afraid the sound quality in the second half isn't what you're used to. It should still be fine to listen to though. The Spontaneity Shop presents All British Comedy Explained with Abigoliah Schamaun, Tom Salinsky and special guests John Dorney and Jessica Regan. This episode, Carry On Cleo.
Hello there, this is All British Comedy Explained, the podcast where I, Abigoliah, finally learn about all the British comedies I have been missing out on. And to guide me through this comedy labyrinth is writer Tom Salinsky.
Hello there.
Hello. And we're on the same side of the table, which feels so weird. But that is because we are also joined by the host of Tom's other podcast, Best Pick. Please welcome John Dorney and Jessica Regan.
Hey, hey.
Hello, hello.
Hi there. So familiar surroundings, but a slightly unfamiliar configuration.
Yeah, it's disconcerting. What a carry-on.
Tell me real quick about Best Pick. Tell me about the podcast.
Go for it, Jess.
So myself and Tom Tom was helping me do some research for, I was appearing on a show, Celebrity Mastermind, and I'd picked Quentin Tarantino as my specialist topic, different times, folks. And although, and we enjoyed doing the research and Tom quizzing me so much and watching all the films and talking about them afterwards and how we misremembered some and how that we were like thinking, how can we keep this good thing going? And then we realized, well, we always have an Oscar party every year and we sort of hashed out this concept of Best Pick where we set ourselves the task of watching every Best Picture winner ever, but crucially in no particular order. So picking it out of a hat so that we wouldn't be slogging through each decade. That we could you'd get a, it was, and that saved our brains. That saved us. It saved the project, I think. So then we divvied up the research and what we do for each podcast is we share our research. Dorney looks at the making of the film. I look at the year in film in question and Tom does the ceremony, which is often filled with scandal and tidbits of gossip and upsets and all sorts of things. Then what's kind of unique about our podcast is that we pause it, we watch the film, then we return and we have our reactions in real time to what we've seen.
I wonder if you had duplicated that format in another podcast.
I have one idea for a podcast and I just keep reinventing it.
But it's a good
over
one.
And over again.
No, there's something about that reaction, I think. There's something about that, because also even Tom, like the fact, like if you're watching it separately on laptops when you get a chance, it's just not the same.
A communal thing is different, isn't it? And I think we really kind of noticed that because the third one we did was the third film, wasn't it? The third film to win, which was All Quiet on the Western Front. Yeah. And we literally went away, hey, we're going to go watch this film. We've never seen it. And then we come back and we're absolutely shelled.
Horrified. And completely like, war is terrible,
it's a
guys.
cracking film, but oh god, that was that. You could hear the change in us.
And also it was stunning, and we were like, filmmaking was good. What now back then? So
very bold.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, everyone should check out Best Pick. You guys have done over, I want to say over 300 episodes.
No. We changed the numbering after we'd finished doing the I think it was the first crop of 94,
They've done over
95.
500 episodes.
Done 3,000 episodes.
All Best Picture nominees. You didn't know there were so many.
Sometimes with different names. We've done it with different voices. But and different titles of the podcast. But they're all us. All podcasts
are us.
I'm Abby too. I've got a really good American accent.
This is in fact a tribute to Pluribus. But yeah, Tom, I believe someone called it hotel numbering, which I really like. So it's like, the floors, a room is 371 because it's on the third floor.
And it's the 17th room.
Yeah, it's just a way to kind of, I suppose, it's really good to actually have an opportunity to explain it in case people are absolutely confused by it. Because we're always updating the first floor, shall we say, which is the Best Pictures, because a new Best Picture comes out every year. But when we do a little side project like, say, the top 10 of the BFI films of best, voted best of all time, then that's its own little season, or that's and then we've done some watch-alongs and commentaries, which I love. Actually, I kind of miss them. We want to do some soon, but so that people can
specials and kind of kept it going because we can't keep watching Best Picture winners because we've done them all.
You
Yeah.
ran out.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
sure
That's
did.
amazing.
We sure, but it was a lovely sense of completion. I mean, I'm not saying I'm glad there was a pandemic, but it definitely helped us to
100%.
helped all these neurodivergent people stay on project because there's nothing else going on.
Good for you guys, because how many times do people set out to like do something like
Yeah.
watch every
Yeah.
Best Picture and never complete
Well,
it? You guys did it, and then you added
That's
more
because they get
podcasts.
stuck in the 80s and they go, no, I can't do this anymore.
Also, I did say, and I think when somebody said what advice we'd give, and it goes, you've got to tell someone you're doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because once you've told someone you're doing it, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Because there are loads that if you, it's a very hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you kind of like sat down and go, I'm going to watch every single minute, because some of them you're not going to want to do. You're kind of going to get about halfway through and go, oh, I kind of got to finish it. Because we had to like go and talk to the podcast about it.
Yeah.
Then we kind of had to finish them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if the film's terrible, you've got something to say about it.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that's
derive
that
some
film's
kind of
terrible.
Oh
enjoyment.
yeah,
Don't watch
check
it.
out Braveheart for Salinsky
God.
nearly like flipping tables.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen
did not have a
Salinsky
good time.
angry?
No, you got angry over
You
Braveheart? I'll have
wouldn't
to-
like
believe I
him when
said-
he's angry.
I believe I said, who do I have to fuck to get off this podcast?
Wow.
Mel Gibson is the answer.
Yes, it is.
That's what
So-
you're listening to on the train home, and you think you know someone, Abby. Do you know what I mean? You think you know
Jesus.
someone.
Well,
Just saying.
we're not watching Braveheart today. What are we watching?
We're going to watch Carry On Cleo,
Okay.
which is one of a small number. There was a little bit of debate about this just before we started recording, but one of a small number of the enormous number of Carry On films, often cited as the best.
Okay.
So basically, if you don't like this, you don't like Carry On.
Okay. All right. I'm excited because people have asked, they're like, are you going to watch Carry On film? You should watch Carry On film. So this is my first.
Oh, wow.
I'm a Carry
wow.
On virgin.
Oh,
I've
my
never seen one
gosh.
that I'm aware of. So
I tell
yeah.
you the thing I'm excited about with this, because, you know, I've seen, I think most of them, I don't think I've seen all of them. I don't think I've ever seen Emmanuel, and there's probably one or two of others in the middle I've never got around to. But they were always on like bank holidays on BBC Two, and that's how you end up watching them when I was a
ITV.
kid on ITV. Or yeah, but the main thing I remember, like I think getting one of them on DVD, Carry On Up the Khyber, I think it was, and seeing that, and you're watching it on DVD when it's remastered and in widescreen, and you have this immediate thought going, oh holy shit, these were shown in cinemas because they were cut and paste,
Oh,
so they were
yeah.
cut and
Pan and
scan on TV.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you'd only
Yeah.
kind of watch them in that thing, but the actual in the widescreen and all that thing, you go, it looks incredibly different experience. And so that's one of the things I'm interested in seeing.
There's a lot of production value in Carry On Cleo,
Yes.
and how it achieved that is a story I shall shortly tell you.
So with Carry On, I don't know much, but what I am picturing is a perfect 90-minute comedy. Are they 90
Yeah,
minutes
pretty
long?
much,
They're
Yeah, they're tight.
the length any comedy should be.
Oh, God, yes.
Never longer. Okay, I'm glad
Yeah.
that they've done that. 90 minutes. I like
Yeah.
90 minutes is perfect.
So the story begins in 1958. In that year, the British film company Anglo Amalgamated Productions released 4 films. A crime movie called The Long Knife, a science fiction horror film called Escapement, a musical comedy vehicle for Tommy Steele called The Duke Wore Jeans, and an army comedy called Carry On Sergeant, starring William Hartnell and Bob Monkhouse. Never heard of Bob Monkhouse?
No, but I work with a guy named Roger Monkhouse.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear Bob Monkhouse, I think it's going to be Roger, and it's not.
He was all over TV in the 70s and 80s hosting game shows.
I think I know him if
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw him. Yeah.
But he started as an actor, and this was one of his movies. So Carry On Sergeant began life as a script called The Bull Boys, written by veteran playwright and novelist R.F. Delderfield, and it surrounded a pair of ballet dancers called up for national service. When the national service was coming to an end, producer Sidney Box realised that the window to release this film was closing rapidly, and so, having not been able to do anything with it himself, he passed the idea to his brother-in-law, the film producer Peter Rogers, and his directing partner Gerald Thomas. So now they had to try and turn this into an actual movie script. They were turned down by, among others, Spike Milligan, your favourite,
I've heard of him. Yeah.
and Galton and Simpson.
Oh yeah. Who wrote Dad's Army? No,
Tony Hancock.
Tony Hancock.
And then we haven't covered it yet, but also Steptoe and Son.
Yeah.
He managed to get John Antrobus to write the script, and Antrobus scrapped the ballet angle and reoriented the story around one of the characters who's called up for national service on the day of his wedding. But they still weren't happy with how the script was progressing, so Rogers next turned to a screenwriter called Norman Houdis, who just worked for him on The Duke Wore Jeans. Now, Houdis saw the story as needing a bigger gang of characters, and his vision was they'd all start off as hopeless recruits, but then eventually they'd all rally round their bullying sergeant to help him win his bet with another man. And Carry On Sergeant is just what an officer would say if they'd interrupted proceedings, they were now handing control back. Also, there was a film called Carry On Admiral, which had been a big hit the previous year, and they thought maybe this would confer good fortune upon the project.
I may have told this story on the podcast before, but I remember...
Never stopped you.
Yeah, it's never stopped me. But when I worked for Blockbusters in the early 90s...
Wow.
I remember
canon event.
they were discussing all of this thing about how you could bring in your VHSs.
Yeah.
People would bring in their VHSs and you'd pay for them, and sometimes the staff would get first pick of the stuff people were like trading in. And they said, and there was one guy, the guy who's like running the course, said, and there was this one guy who brought in a really sort of rare copy of the VHS of Carry On Admiral, which he bought and was able to like flog on eBay, and I was going, yeah, that's not a Carry On film. No. And I was like literally arguing with this guy. He said, well, it earned him a lot. He was able to sell it on for a lot of money. He goes, yeah, for people who didn't know, it's not a Carry On film.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if there was something called Carry On before, and this is called Carry On. No. Is Carry On already a franchise?
Absolutely not.
It's also worth mentioning as well that not all of the Carry On films have the words Carry On at the front.
We're coming to this.
I'm going to need a diagram.
When Kenneth Williams was doing these films, he was also regularly appearing on a radio comedy show called Round the Horn, and his appearance in the Carry On films was often mocked. And I remember Kenneth Horne in one episode saying, Kenneth Williams, of course, star of the Carry On films. That's CARRION, Carry On films.
That's a great joke.
Yeah. Now, if you go back and watch Carry On Sergeant, I don't think it looks especially remarkable. It looks like a lot of other British comedy films being made for this around the same time. It looks like School for Scoundrels, or there was another series of Doctor in the House, Doctor This, Doctor That, which has started in the early 50s and seemingly went on forever. But Carry On Sergeant costs, Anglo Amalgamated, £70,000 and was the third most successful UK film of 1958.
Wow. So is 70,000 sounds like a really cheap amount, even in the 50s.
British films are being pumped out at this time, but £70,000 was not a lot of money. So obviously, Anglo Amalgamated asked for a follow-up, and perhaps thinking about the Doctor in this, Doctor That, or there's also a Dentist series also starring Bob Monkhouse. And so they thought, well, let's try and keep all the Thin Man, follow the Thin Man up the Thin Man, down the Thin Man, and so on. So they thought, we'll try and create some kind of continuity, but they didn't think they'd be able to get the same actors back. So they created a brand new story, but it was the same team, writer Norman Houdis, director Gerald Thomas, producer Peter Rogers, and this time it was Carry On Nurse. So they didn't get William Hartnell and Bob Monkhouse back, but supporting actors, Charles Hawtrey, Kenneth Connor, Kenneth Williams, and Hattie Jakes are all rehired to play essentially the same characters, just with new names and now in a new setting.
Yeah, okay, but same vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was the UK's top grossing film of the year, and it pulled in $2 million in America.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Carry On Nurse.
Carry On Nurse,
Never heard of it.
No, why
Big
would
in
you?
America.
And so they realised they were onto a good thing, and Gerald Thomas and Peter Rogers made another 28 Carry On films between 1959 and 1978.
28.
Carry On Teacher was released the same year as Carry On Nurse and features a motley crew of new teachers who finally rally round to help out their new headmaster. Carry On Constable was released in 1960 and features a motley crew of new recruits to the police force who finally rallied round to help their struggling sergeant. That was the first Carry On film for Sid James, about whom we'll hear more shortly. Sid James takes the starring role in Carry On Regardless as Bert Handy, who runs the Helping Hands job agency and takes on a motley crew of new recruits who finally rallied round to support him. And the following year saw the first Carry On film in colour, Carry On Cruising, in which Captain Sid James struggles with a motley crew of eccentrics who finally rally round to support him.
Are you sensing a theme?
Yeah, I think around this point it seems to have occurred to at least Norman Houdis that he was beginning to repeat himself. So he stands down and Talbot Rothwell
That's not a real name.
takes over for Carry On Cabby.
That's that's one of those names that's two surnames, isn't it? It doesn't have a first name.
Though this change in personnel did not please Kenneth Williams, who'd been in every previous Carry On film but turned this one down. It's back in black and white, and Jim Dale joins the cast, now with Sid James firmly installed
Jim Dale,
as the lead.
as in Jim Dale, who's still alive now and spoke at my university graduation. Yeah,
That would be the same Jim Dale, I imagine, yes.
Yeah, like Pete's Dragon, amongst
Yeah,
other
yeah,
things.
Yeah,
There
I've
you
seen him
go,
on
6
Broadway.
degrees.
Look
There
at
you
that.
go. Look at that.
And then Carry On Jack in 1964 brings back both Kenneth Williams and colour photography. Now, this is an interesting film in the series because it was the first that spoofed a different genre. All the other ones have been basically like workplace comedies. But now we're on the high seas with Nelson and Hardy. And there's more than an echo of the very troubled Mutiny on the Bounty starring Marlon Brando, which had been a very expensive and famous flop only a few years earlier. But there was no danger of Carry On Jack spending that kind of money. As luck would have it, Shepperton Studios had recently been home to the big budget movie HMS Defiant, directed by Lewis Gilbert and set in the same period.
So they had the set.
All the sets were still
They didn't have
available.
to pay for it.
That is so sustainable. And I wish we did
Yes.
more of this.
So the result was that the full-colour Carry On Jack about the Napoleonic Wars cost about the same as the black and white Carry On Cabby about taxi drivers in contemporary London.
That's amazing. I wonder if they'd even let you do that sort of thing now because of like copyright and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like
would-
the designer fee and all that. It would probably, and agents getting their percentage of the
in unions and stuff.
But I think we are going to have to find a way. To
Yeah.
make all this
Yeah.
stuff
I don't
more
think it's a bad
sustainable.
idea.
No, it's
I
great.
mean, they built the Black Pearl. It could have been used a lot more. You know, like that sort of like big.
I think that kind of thing does still
Theme.
sometimes go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what the studio lots are. It's like we have New York.
Yeah.
This is New York.
And you see the same backlot buildings
Yeah,
used in movie
yeah.
after movie
So
after movie.
you said 28 films in basically 20 years.
Yeah.
So more than a film a year.
Yeah.
So is this
They're just pumping them out.
are they like almost in like a studio system sort of thing where it's like these actors are always going to get hired for these projects?
They were under
and-
those kind of contracts.
Yeah.
But, so this is all still Anglo-amalgamated, and they would have had a deal with Pinewood, which is where most of these films were shot. But no, occasionally, as with Kenneth Williams turning down Carry On Cabby, the regular team would say, "Oh, I've got another job," or "This isn't paying me
Yeah.
enough," or
There's a history, storied history of repertory theatre, a tradition of repertory theatre that I'm sure you have obviously like say Steppenwolf as well, like would be in Chicago really famous for it, where you have a company of actors who just do different plays, and when you're rehearsing in the day doing one play and you're performing a different one at night, and that tradition I think completely lends itself to like this Carry On. They were a company of actors who could kind of come and go. But had that stability of the rep company, essentially.
Oh, that's
But it
really
was
cool.
But it was a loose association rather than a contractual arrangement.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. Continue.
So they saw the potential of genre spoofing, and the next century had a go at the still very new James Bond movies with Carry On Spying, which introduced Barbara Windsor to the series, and that was the last black and white entry. And now Talbot Rothwell has abandoned Norman Hudis's Gang of Misfits for ever more tortured puns, double entendres, sexual innuendos.
Yeah.
Now, while Carry On Spying was in cinemas, Cleopatra, starring Elizabeth Taylor, was finally released after 5 years of development and production.
And I'm sure you guys have covered Cleo.
Oh, yes.
Tom does
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
the deep dive, and it's wonderful.
So, this was an even bigger white elephant than Beauty on the Bounty. It had mainly shot in Rome during 1961 and 1962.
Disaster.
But that was after an abortive attempt to film it on the backlot in Pinewood between September and November 1960.
Okay.
And they're trying to get Mediterranean skies just outside London in November. It didn't work.
That's tricky.
But once again, the sets were all still sitting there waiting to be used.
I love this.
And the producers of Cleopatra also helped out by taking Anglo-Amalgamated to court for copyright infringement, not for the set, but for the poster.
Hey.
Amazing.
So that got the film loads of free publicity, and the only price they had to pay was designing a new poster.
Yeah.
And it's Carry On Cleo that we'll be watching. So it was another huge hit. It's looked back on very fondly. Is it the very best of the series? I mean, taste will vary, but it's certainly one of about 3 or 4 which is consistently mentioned as being one of the very best. And it kind of kicks off what at least one Carry On historian called the series' imperial phase. So from this point on, there's a really strong succession of really kind of classic films of this nature.
Did they do up? So I'm guessing Barbara Windsor played Cleopatra?
No. So I'm not quite sure why not, but Amanda Barry was chosen instead, about whom we'll
I'll
be hearing
tell you
more
why
of.
not, because I think she is almost like a kind of a... She has those Elizabeth Taylor eyes.
She does,
She has
yeah.
The most extraordinary eyes.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Did they do up Cleo as Elizabeth Taylor and Cleopatra? Did they do the same eye makeup?
They're
and
reusing the
stuff?
same costumes. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
Sid James is in the same costume that Richard Burton wore. I mean, it's remarkable.
You couldn't do that
Yeah.
today.
the
Bob
most
Mackie would
marvelous-
never.
Yeah, but she's the most marvelous dupe, like for it. Most
That's
marvelous kind of
amazing.
alt.
So there are another 20 Carry On films after Carry On Cleo, so I'll just try and give you some of the highlights. Almost every single one of these was produced by Peter Rogers, directed by Gerald Thomas, and written by Talbot Rothwell, which also meant that none of these three essentially had the time to do anything else. Right, from this point on, their entire CV is Carry On films. So the formula is well established. They do cowboy films, they do horror films, they do the French Revolution. Now, for the 1967 film, the Rank organisation took over distribution from Anglo Amalgamated. And speaking of copyright, there was a worry that the Carry On name might not be available. So despite clearly being part of the same series, the 1967 entry was released as Don't Lose Your Head, which is about the French Revolution. And then the Foreign Legion spoof with American star Phil Silvers. You know Phil Silvers?
Not
Sergeant
off the
Bilko?
top of my head. Sergeant Bilko from... What's...
From the Phil Silvers show.
No.
My colonel sent for me, sir?
Yes, Bilko, I've been going over this list of motor pool requisitions. There must be some mistake here.
Mistake, sir?
Yes, you couldn't possibly have ordered hairpins and chewing gum.
Oh, did they come, sir?
They come? You mean you want hairpins and chewing gum? What for?
For the Jeeps, sir.
Bilko, would you mind telling me what you're talking about?
Oh, I'm sure this will work, sir, but if it doesn't, I'm determined to keep them rolling, sir, if I have to use rubber bands and toothpicks, but I'll keep trying, sir.
Keep trying. I had no idea our Jeeps were in such a condition.
Oh, sir, I thought you knew. I thought that's why you got your own little cute foreign car.
So when you were watching I Love Lucy, you never watched Sergeant Bilko?
I don't think it was on Nick at Night.
Oh.
I missed it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway, that was released as Follow That Camel.
Okay.
So sometimes you see those films with the Carry On prefix rather awkwardly bolted onto the front.
Okay.
But nobody would ever make a film called Carry On, Follow That Camel.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, that was resolved, and then they returned to contemporary settings and medicine for Carry On Doctor. But I think it's really interesting comparing Carry On Doctor to Carry On Nurse, because the seaside postcard humour is definitely taking over. There are much more jokes about things like bedpans. There are character names like Francis Bigger and Kenneth Tinkle.
Okay.
And much more sex and nudity than ever before. All still fairly tasteful, but definitely trying to get the dads watching. In a famous scene in Carry On Camping, Barbara Windsor's bikini top flies off as she's engaged in PT under Hattie Jake's supervision. And this trend only continued from here.
We've all been there.
So we're back to medicine with the very awkwardly titled Carry On Again Doctor. That's 1969. And from this point on, it's the historicals and the contemporary ones roughly alternate. But by now also the need for guest stars like Phil Silvers or Frankie Howard or Harry H. Corbett was no more, because now the series regulars are all stars in their own right. Fans will turn out to see them almost no matter what. But also censorship is over. The Hays office in America has closed and a rating system has been introduced instead. And Carry On films were always certificate A, which is roughly the equivalent of 12A today. So parental guidance or children needing to have a parent. But they're getting more and more risque and struggling for relevancy and freshness.
Do they kind of turn into, like, remember, I kind of associate it with, like, National Lampoons, those comedies from the 70s, Porky's
and Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
They're heading in that direction at this time. They're
really
not quite
good
as,
parallel.
they're not quite as
when it's like,
frank
this
as
is
that.
funny, and then you're like, why are 5 women topless for no reason?
Yeah, and one is passed out. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It gets
I'm
really...
sure Tom's going to get to this, but roughly around the 70s, there's this other series happening called The Confessions.
Yes, exactly. So, Confessions of a Window Cleaner is, I think, 74, and that kicked off the British sexploitation craze, which made it even harder
Nobody asked for.
I didn't know you guys had a sex
Yeah.
they
It's
did.
incredibly
They
nasty
did.
shit.
Is it
don't like it.
porny?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, yes.
Like soft
But it's
porn
porn.
with, again, really ugly middle-aged men and
and a kind of embarrassment about sex, and a kind of a hoped for joyful, as you said, Jess, lusty enthusiasm about sex, but mixed with this sort of very English shame.
It's awful.
Where did these happen? Were they on television, in cinemas?
In cinemas.
Yeah.
Were they cinemas where people could jerk off in? Like, this
Not
doesn't
typically,
sound...
No,
No,
they were
cinema.
like, it was kind of
Yeah.
like mainstream.
If your name's John Dorney.
Yeah, exactly.
don't clean up after. No.
Way to get yourself barred from the Picture House group,
Damn
jeepers.
But
But I think there's
This
always...
subject matter has been a very bad influence, which
There's
I blame which I blame myself.
That's why Tom was like, we won't go here without at least 2 women on the panel. But there's always, I think, when censorship pulls back, right, which is what we want, we don't want censorship. However, there's always a slight race to the bottom.
So to
And
speak.
it's always the people who seem to intent on making to exploit the financial gains for the least artistic integrity. So you do get a proliferation of just awful garbage, basically. And then the pendulum kind of can correct itself and you get like really, then people start to use the form more interestingly. But it's always a bit depressing, I think, in a way.
So I think the rot starts to set in around 1975 with Carry On Behind, which was the first,
That's what she said.
the first to be written by anyone other than Talbot Rothwell since 1962. Instead, Dave Freeman took time out from writing The Benny Hill Show to do the script instead. But it's Carry On England, as John was talking about, which seemingly brought the series to a screeching halt.
For those who are listening via your headphones, you did not see Jess Regan just go, who took time off from the Benny Hill Show. She just went, sorry, you can't see me do it. She sucked in and then had a face of like, oh God.
We've mentioned Benny Hill a couple of times. Do you know who Benny Hill is?
Yeah, I know of it. I've not seen it, but I thought it was kind of silly problematic. Is it problematic?
It's my sleep paralysis demon, I think.
Is it?
He basically plays a comedy dirty old man in a variety of sketches. I think he was a very talented performer.
On the football front, we'll be looking at the midfield players, at the defenders, and of course at the strikers. In particular, we'll be looking at the defending pair of Burnleys, and then we're going to take a good look at this striking pair of Bristols. Bristol Cities.
But his style of comedy went out of fashion really fast once alternative comedy came in.
And rumoured virgin.
Yes, he was clearly fucked up about sex in quite specific ways.
So maybe let's not take our cues from
Yes.
people like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Why? Let's not give them a television show. Jeepers.
So,
yeah, don't give television shows to virgins. That's what we've learned here.
Carry On England only features Kenneth Connor from the classic lineup. He's joined by Windsor Davies, who is essentially reprising his role from television's It Ain't Off Hot Mum. There's a parade of topless women on the thinnest of pretexts. Yeah. It's the first film of the series to get a AA certificate, meaning children under 14 could not be admitted. Critics hated it, which was nothing new, but it lost money.
Oh no, that's the worst thing any film can do.
So then there's a compilation film, That's Carry On, released in 1977, which features Kenneth Williams and Barbara Windsor stuck in a projection booth showing each other clips of old Carry On films.
I mean, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
I think it was basically released in the wake of That's Entertainment, kind of proving that big studios could make big money with compilation films. And the series was finally laid to rest after Carry On Emmanuel in 1978, which was another AA-rated film and another box office disaster. So I won't go into detail about this, but there's a couple other things in the margins. There was a 1975 television series called Carry On Laughing, which is essentially the same crew doing random sitcom episodes. And that'd be moderately successful. There was even a stage show, Carry On London, which had a West End run in 1973. But Emmanuel was the end of the road. By the 90s, there was a new generation of comedians who'd grown up with these films and a kind of buzz of nostalgia about them. So 1992's Carry On Columbus disinterred Jim Dale, now pushing 60, as Christopher Columbus.
How old is he now?
90 by
Yes.
parts of that.
90?
Yeah.
Jesus.
He had Bernard Cribbins by his side, who you'll remember from the Fawlty Towers episode, The Hotel Inspectors.
Yes, I remember him.
And a long list of younger comedians and comic actors: Rick Mayall, Alexi Sales, Sarah Crowe, Gillian Clary, Maureen Lipman, Nigel Planer, Tony Slattery, Martin Clunes. With this kind of cast, how could it miss? It was released to cash in on the 500th anniversary of Columbus reaching the Americas, and it was another almighty flop.
Is it too many styles? Like, because if you bring the Carry On into like the alternative comedians, do they not that they don't know what to do with it?
They did know what to do. They loved it. They threw themselves into proceedings. It's just that the script was terrible.
It doesn't help as well. Actually, one of the things that is perhaps misunderstood in terms of the Carry On in general is the cast. Most of the people we associate with it are largely straight actors of the original run. So they all kind of started off. Barbara Windsor started off in quite serious and heavy theatre.
Oh, you mean straight as in serious?
Yeah,
as
in serious. Yeah, Kenneth Williams was quite sort of, if anything, was really disappointed with how his career went because he'd like had all of these parts that Shakespearean leads and stuff like that, and then it just became this sort of, that was what his
caricature.
Yeah, it became a caricature.
Like Ernest
various
Goes to
others
Camp.
didn't. Sid James was
That
really
guy.
positive about it, but yeah, and some of them still managed to get through. There's a surprising amount of Bernard Breslau playing monsters in things like Krull and Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And others then kind of get revived in sitcoms like Kenneth Connor. But I think if any, that doesn't help. Anytime anyone talks about reviving it, they talk about reviving it with comics and you go, it should
Actually
be straight actors.
Well, I mean, even Amanda
funny.
Barry,
Like
who we'll
Abby.
get to, she started off doing like.
Well, why don't you tell us about Amanda Barry?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd love to. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm done.
Because that's
That's
the
it.
end
Yeah.
of the franchise. So nice segue there. So I'm really happy to talk about Amanda Barry, who's our Cleo today, particularly as it's Pride Month, and she is a bisexual queen.
Yay!
We love her, and she was born Shirley Broadbent, and I think she might. I wonder if there's if she's in the Guinness Book of Records because she started performing at 3. She's still with us, and she's 90.
Amazing.
And she's popped up in Amandaland, I think, and she's still going. She's in absolutely fine fettle, and we love to see it. But she had a tough childhood. She was devastated when her parents from Ashton-under-Lyne split, and she was very kind of doted on by her mother, and kind of hothoused a bit, but then all of a sudden was
What does hothouse mean?
it was a really kind of, I suppose, helicopter parent would be the
hovering
thing.
around. Okay.
And but she was very suddenly packed off to boarding school at the age of 12, which completely devastated her. But she appeared in pantomime as a child, and she was a dancer, which I think you can tell because she has an incredible elegance about her in everything she does. And it's very striking when you kind of see her around other actors in a way that there is that kind of dancer body that kind of comes through. At 16, she was dancing at the Windsor Club with Danny LaRue and Barbara Windsor, and she changed her name to make her West End debut in 1961's Babes in the Wood. And throughout the 60s, she was in these incredible stage productions like Cabaret, Private Lives, Hobson's Choice, which really back up what you were saying. Hobson's Choice is amazing play about 3 daughters. And, Private Lives, classic, Cabaret, subversive. It's lots of comedians can act, are terrific actors, absolutely. But don't forget about actors altogether. Don't just think you need a comedian for a funny part, because there's so much more to it than that, not every actor's a comedian, not every comedian's an actor, but some people are both. That's great, but not everybody, right?
But I am
There you go.
available for any pictures.
Quadruple threat.
Reboots of Carry On, Here I Come.
Be careful what you wish for, Abigoliah. But she made her screen debut in a film called Operation Bullshine in 1959. She only starred in, I think, in 2 of the Carry-Ons. She had a supporting part as a cab driver, in Carry On Cabby in 1963, and then took the title role in Carry On Cleo. She was in a film in 1965 with Billy Fury called I've Got a Horse, and they went on to have a bit of an affair. As she has 2 biographies where she details. One is called Not a Rehearsal, and the second one's called I'm Still Here, which I quite love.
By the way, those are 2 great titles.
Great titles. She was in a Walt Disney film called One of Our Dinosaurs is Missing. She's just always tipped away. She's just always worked. She pops up in lots of English properties. But it was as Alma Sedgwick in Coronation Street, which is, I think, our longest running soap. I think it predates EastEnders.
By a long way.
Yes, because by a long way indeed. Yeah, because EastEnders is 86, I think.
Yeah.
But I always thought Amanda Barry stood out in Coronation Street for a couple of reasons. First of all, she definitely styled herself, okay? Because she would always have a little popped collar and her sleeves would always be rolled up. And honestly, she could be a Brooklyn barista. But here she was in the 80s and early 90s when women were maybe, slice of life dressing. They didn't look glamorous, but she always just looked like a touch of the Joanna Lumleys. She just had this natural grace about her, and she really popped on screen. And the Alma storyline, I remember it really vividly as a child. She had this on and off again relationship with Alec Baldwin. No, what was his name? Was it Alec Baldwin? What was his name? It was Alec Baldwin.
No,
wasn't
somebody
it?
Baldwin.
Oh, Mike Baldwin.
Mike Baldwin. Of course.
Is he one of the Baldwins? Is he
He
of
is
the Baldwins?
not. He would be a
Okay.
Timu
Different.
Baldwin.
He should be.
He would be a
Baldwin.
Timu Baldwin. And I think he wouldn't mind that
Which,
comparison.
let's be honest. Given the actual Baldwins,
Yeah.
Timu Baldwin is saying something.
Yeah. but
Also, new merch, Timu Baldwin.
Well, there you go. New merch is dropped. So he he would always act better when he was with Amanda Barry. You know what I mean? She would raise his game. I definitely found that, because he was playing the classic Gaza Lothario, and then he had this affair with Tanya, who was I think it was a hairdresser, anyway, it was like storylines would go on for ages, and it was actually people would really get these amazing acting chops scenes, and a lot of people from soaps have gone on to be national treasures, and I think Amanda Barry is one, but the whole time she was on Coronation Street, she was keeping a secret about her sexuality. So after her affair with Billy Fury...
Sorry, and is this in the 80s or the 90s?
80s and 90s.
Okay.
But well up until the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I found it really moving, actually. I didn't realise. She spent her whole time on the soap opera, you know, being a national treasure, being in the public conversation, but she couldn't reveal that she was bisexual. And she was terrified. And I think that she had quite an unconventional marriage. So she married a man and they did get divorced, but they stayed... though they got separated, but they never divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had an unconventional marriage. Because she married a theatre director and actor, Robin Hunter. But she was convinced she would be axed from the soap if producers got wind of her sexuality. And she said, I didn't think I would be fired. I know I would have been fired.
Wow.
Taking into account the climate at the time. The people I was close to always knew about me and the relationships throughout my life. Being the age that I am, I still remember when gay men were absolutely crucified for being the way they were. I believe in the freedom to do and be exactly as you wish in life, to live in your own way. I dream of a day when people's sexuality is regarded as so unimportant that no one even bothers to remark on whether somebody is gay or straight. It's probably a pipe dream, but I still like to dream. However, there's a bit of a happy ending. So a week and a half into the role, somebody leaked details to the press, but it didn't really get consumed that much. She still managed to kind of maintain her privacy. But when she did come out after leaving the soap in the early 2000s in her biography, all she got was hugs. The reaction was overwhelmingly positive. I thought I was going to be stoned in the street, she said, you know, and it's just so sad about the fear. But she was such an icon because like she was in, like she's had an amazing career in Panto. She's popped up like on Have I Got the Weakest Link? She nearly slapped Gordon Ramsay in the face, which is, you know, very cool.
What we've all wanted
to do on Celebrity MasterChef. She's now married to a woman, her long-term partner, who actually was a writer, who I think was a journalist and a writer, and they got married like I think in 2014, I think. And it's like this woman was her long-term Hillary. Her name is Hillary Ronan. So like, you know, love wins at the end of the day. It's never too late, and she is living her best life now. She's 90 and she's living her queer lifestyle with her partner, and she's as cherished as ever she was.
What you see a lot of in these Carry On films is very obviously queer-coded characters, played often by people like Kenneth Williams and Charles Hawtrey, who are gay men, who are then also given rigorously hetero storylines.
Yeah, that's very weird, isn't it? Yeah.
It looks bizarre now, but you'll see it in Carry On Clear with the Kenneth Williams character.
Yeah, because Kenneth Williams is always lusting after some woman, usually Hattie Jake.
Yes.
So Kenneth Williams is gay in real life.
Yes.
And he's always playing an uber straight.
He's not always playing an uber straight character. He's playing a queer-coded character who is nevertheless given a hetero storyline.
Okay.
Even though the dogs in the street will be like, "Hey, girl," like,
Okay.
Yeah.
And with our leading lady, Cleo, whose name is
Amanda Barry.
What I'm picturing is someone who's been a gay icon her whole life.
Definitely.
But never out of the closet.
Until the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And she was in a iconically queer show called Bad Girls.
Okay.
She starred in that. And I feel like she's always been around queer people. I feel like those who knew. I could sense something even from how she styled herself.
Yeah.
She didn't dress like any of the other women. There was something not heteronormative about how she presented in Cara even. She always had a blazer rolled up. She, like I said, that collar popping.
Kind of like was it Katharine Hepburn? Who
Yes,
always,
exactly.
What I'm picturing, the popped collar and
it was
slacks.
just this little style, you know, but also it looked great. It looked really cool and really timeless. But she was in 9 episodes of Doctors, which was this soap that I was in, and I must have just missed her. She also, she's had like an 87-year career.
She's still not acting now.
She's still, like her credits go right up to recently. She never really gave up. Like, I don't think she's done anything for the last couple of years, but even then she's doing the rounds, giving interviews about her biography, talking about how thrilled she is when she watches Coronation Street now, because there's so much queer representation in Coronation Street. It went completely the other way. And it makes her so happy to see that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And you can understand why in the 90s she'd be terrified to come out. Am I right that it was illegal to be gay up until the 70s here?
I think it's
later.
60 somewhere,
60,
yeah.
But
also
But still not kind of,
Yeah.
there was some legislation though that like had to be gotten rid of like really late in the day though.
Yeah. in the 90s.
Yeah.
But, effectively from the late 60s. But the age of consent wasn't the same as for straight sex. Lesbians, of course, can do what they like.
Because the Queen didn't believe, was it Queen Victoria?
Yeah, didn't believe
it was like, well, I don't know how that even work.
Yeah.
So in a way that kind of stopped it being criminalised because she just couldn't get her head around it. So.
Am I just thinking, part of me in my head is like, yeah, because Queen Victoria was fucking bopping ladies. And she's like, I don't see it. That's not sex.
No,
I'm going to say that's your sitcom pitch right there.
I mean, alas, having, she was crazy for the D, was Queen Victoria. She had like 9 children and couldn't leave her husband alone. She was obsessed with her husband, Albert. They had a very passionate, they're one of those it was real love. But I think she was so about that D life, she couldn't get her head around the other, you know. Hey, guys, it's historical fact. Don't look at me like that.
Carry on, Vic.
Carry on, Vic.
I played her in a short film directed by friend of the pod, written and directed by friend of the pod, Joy Wilkinson. So we did extensive research into this.
Well, on the subject of raging heteros, obviously you can't have Cleopatra without Mark Antony. So I'm going to be talking about Solomon Joel Cohen, who was born in Johannesburg, South Africa, on the 8th of May 1913, and he was the son of a pair of London-born vaudeville performers, and that name did not stick. He was known as Solly, but eventually there was a bit of confusion with a cousin of his at school who had a very similar name, so he took a new first name and a surname from his parents' stage name, becoming Sidney James.
Sid James, who was born in South Africa to London parents, so you can both be South African and a Cockney. It can happen. We got really yelled at.
Yes.
I
referred to him playing Cockney characters, and about 100 people commented saying that he was born in South Africa,
Also,
which I had not mentioned but did know.
Also, he's playing Cockney characters.
I know,
That's
I
not saying
know.
he's Cockney. That's a different thing. So,
I think you might have said he. Well, it doesn't matter, but the internet loves to correct, especially.
They're really splitting hairs there, aren't they?
Oh, I love it.
It's engagement. It just drives us up.
That is fair. That is
Yeah.
fair. But yeah, so the name lasted longer than his parents' marriage. Because in 1919, they left him in the care of his relatives while taking their act on tour in Australia. By the time they got back in 1921, they were starting divorce proceedings. Now, Sid James, as a young man, had quite a variety of careers. There was like a diamond cutter. He was a boxer. He was a dance tutor. And all of these, everyone who's like grown up with Sid James kind of is largely kind of going, boxer I can see.
Yeah.
But the one he basically got most successful as was as a hairdresser. Basically, he worked and trained in a salon that was owned by his mother, and then a salon in Kronstadt, and that's where he met his first wife. His new father-in-law was quite a successful businessman, and he bought James a salon in the basement of a very impressive hotel. So obviously, within a year, James decided he wanted to be an actor. He joined the Johannesburg Rep Players and did work with the South African Broadcasting Corporation. His relationship with his wife and father-in-law deteriorated, at least in part due to his affairs with other women and the problems with the work, and they ended up divorced. He was married 3 times. Now, World War II saw him join South Africa's army, but when it ended, his service gratuity funded a move to the UK in 1946, where he started to gain work in the British film industry. Now, his first appearances are in the crime dramas Night Beat and Black Memory in 1947, but he starts getting roles in some films that have stood the test of time shortly after that. So, for example, he's a barman in Powell and Pressburger's 1949 film The Small Back Room, which I don't think I've actually seen it, but I like a lot of Powell and Pressburger, so that's going to be on the list. But rather more memorably, he's got an appearance as one of Alec Guinness and Stanley Holloway's gang in the 1951 Ealing classic, The Lavender Hill Mob, and that's his first
I love that film.
comedy. This leads to one of his most important roles, who somewhat typically is called Sid.
Yes.
The comedy writers
Branding.
Galton and
It
Simpson.
is all about branding.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the comedy
He's
writers.
such a Sid.
Yeah,
He's such a Sid.
The comedy writers Galton and Simpson saw the film and decided to cast him as a dodgy geezer, petty criminal antagonist to the lead of their own radio series Hancock's Half Hour in 1954.
Which we have covered on All British Comedy Explained. Please go check
And presumably
it out.
that is where the professional Cockney line came, because he's basically playing a character called Sidney James through the entire thing, which is a very thinly veiled version of him.
And again, this was you compared this to Dick Van Dyke and other people like that playing characters of their own names, because Anthony John Hancock plays Anthony St. John Aloysius Hancock in Hancock's Half Hour.
It was initially a radio series, and with him as part of an ensemble of a variety of guest actors who were like regulars in the series. And as the series progressed, he became less of an enemy, although there was always a bit of a dodgy edge to his character. When the series was put on TV simultaneously, so it's sort of running alongside the radio series, James became the only member of the original cast retained regularly for the TV series, although the others did make appearances. Maybe not all of them, but yeah. And with a bigger part, he basically became part of a double act with Hancock. His film and TV career continued alongside this. A return to Ealing in the Titfield Thunderbolt in 1953. And other notable...
Sorry.
Yeah.
What?
We both, yeah. We
You
had the same,
are going through this
you and
so
I-
quickly.
Yeah.
The Titfield
Field
Thunderbolt. It's not
Thunderbolts.
the Field Tit Thunderbolt.
Yes.
That's a different film.
It's about a runaway train.
It's a runaway train. Yeah.
Is it?
Is it indeed?
Yeah. It's a village called Titfield or something like
New
that.
password just dropped.
I thought I could just. I'm sorry. I just assumed I could just breeze over the Titfield Thunderbolt.
Yeah,
as
because you
going,
grew
no,
up
something-
hearing this absurdity. We did not.
Yeah, I'm just so used to it. I've seen it for years.
Exactly.
It's quite a charming English film. And yeah, other notable titles include in 1957, this is all three of the ones we're going to hear next, A King in New York, opposite Charlie Chaplin in his last lead role. The movie version of Quatermass 2 as a journalist. And probably my favourite of all of of his other sort of film work, Hell Drivers, which is a particularly noteworthy film because it's a Stanley Baker out of Zulu. But the cast is, in hindsight, ludicrously stacked because the film also includes, this is as far borderline inclusive, Herbert Lom, Gordon Jackson, Alfie Bass, David McCallum, Patrick McGowan, William Hartnell, and Sean Connery.
Wow.
Yeah, most of them playing bit parts. Like Sean Connery's got like about 5 or 6 lines. He's barely in it, but it's because it's pre-Bond. And I think Hartnell and McGowan have quite solid roles. Herbert Lom I can remember quite a bit. McCallum I can't remember at all. But it's one of those ones where you see the listing on the DVD and go, okay, this film has to be interesting. And it's a pretty good film actually.
All these hard men of British cinema.
Yeah, it is a ludicrously like hard film as well. It's basically about these drivers who are trying to. I can't. It's sort of like almost a British version of The Wages of Fear because they're having to drive trucks really fast across the English countryside and they kind of risk crashes and they have to do so many.
Pitching a remake with Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Oh, I think there might even actually be one because it is that sense where it's quite and so there's some criminal undertakings going on. And,
Italian jobby.
yeah,
like.
people. It's a bit mob-edged because I think Herbert Lom has the shit kicked out of him at one point for something.
This is really backing up, but you mentioned he divorced his wife because of loads of affairs. Did he ever remarry?
He was married 3 times.
Of course he
and,
was.
and as far as I can tell, was never faithful to any of them.
Just
So-
because, you know how an artist has the line, "Can I draw you?" He was a hairstylist. He just touches her hair and like, you
Yeah.
must let me cut your
think
hair.
they're all-
And then you have sex with her.
I have to look up the videos because I think they're all surprisingly early because I think we ran through the 3 quite quickly. But also there are stories about sort of illegitimate children and all of that kind of thing. I think as well because we'll get to this in a second. But
What a Sid.
But there are 2 different Terry Johnson plays where one of the main characters is possibly an illegitimate child of Sid James.
But we're all possibly illegitimate children of Sid James.
Exactly.
He's the Genghis Khan of Britain.
Well, yeah. So in 1960, at the end of the 6th series of Hancock's Half Hour, the Star had felt that the format was exhausted, so James was dropped. He felt rather hurt by the decision, but the pair remained friends. However, it meant he wanted to play a different kind of role now, so he stopped. He was trying to avoid criminal types. To the degree he turned down the role of Fagin in the stage production of Oliver. Now, he ends up, therefore, in a very contrasting part as playing a policeman in a role originally intended for the comic actor Ted Ray in the next film in a series that Ted Ray had recently appeared in. Ray was under contract for ABC Studios, who threatened to stop distribution of a film for a different studio. So he was reluctantly dropped by the producers, meaning that they needed a new actor to play a sergeant in Carry On Constable. Mm-hmm. So James goes on to make 19 Carry On films, usually with top billing, and often with characters called Sid. To the degree that Harry H. Corbett's character in Carry On Screaming is also called, somewhat obviously flagging a last-minute substitution, Sid. Another time he was replaced by Phil Silvers after he'd had a heart attack. His next film in the series, Carry On Doctor, has him mainly in a hospital bed. After this health... I love this, kind of looking at this detail. He said, after this health scare, he kicked his heavy cigarette habit and reduced his eating and his alcohol consumption to a limit of 2 to 3 drinks each evening. You go, that's well done. That's going to make all the difference. Sid.
How many packs of cigarettes was he smoking afterwards? He's like,
no
I've
clue.
gone from
Yeah,
4 to 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Making the big difference.
So yeah, starting in the black and white era, his initial roles, as Tom has covered, are usually authority figures, then transitioning to the cheeky lecturer role he's better known for when the series moves to colour, and Talbot Rothwell becomes the main writer. And at this point, he basically becomes primarily known as a comedy performer. So Galton and Simpson weren't put off by the Hancock split. They wrote him a new role in their series Citizen James from 1960 to 1962. There's also George and the Dragon in 1966 to 1968. Two in Clover for ATV from 69 to 70. But his most successful sitcom is from 1971 to 1976, Bless This House, which he also got his own film in 1972.
That's come up.
A couple of times,
Yeah.
He's on his third marriage by this point, but he became obsessed with his co-star Barbara Windsor, leading to a 3-year affair, despite her being married to the gangster Ronnie Knight. Now,
She was married to a gangster and he still went in there?
Listen, Barbara Windsor was like that with craze.
and-
Yeah, oh my God,
Really?
she was embedded.
yeah.
Embedded.
And he was also at the time he had a massive gambling problem. So there's one of the lines I really remember from the play we're going to cover briefly in a moment was like one of the gangster's associates saying to him, "It's not that he minds you shagging his wife, and it's not that he minds you owing him a fuck ton of money. It's more the fact that he's shagging his wife while owing a fuck ton of money." That's the rough shape of the line.
Such a Sid.
He kind of was so much. Yeah, it's so weirdly close to his character. But yeah, so Knight apparently had all of Sid James's household furniture rearranged as a subtle threat to kind of suggest, I can get in and just do what I like. That's a really...
That is
It's nice, isn't it? It's good.
Oh, that's giving me chills.
There were rumours that there was an axe embedded in the floor at another point. And this is the thing I found kind of nice. This was denied by some of Sid James's friends. And one of the ones specified was the later host of 15 to 1, William G. Stewart.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that's very niche. Anyway, in April 1976, 4 days after the 6th series of Bless This House ended and midway through negotiations for 2 more series and a second film, Sid James had a heart attack on stage at the Sunderland Empire during a performance of the play The Mating Season. Now, the other actors on the stage sort of ad-libbed because they thought he'd just dried and was forgetting his lines. The curtain was closed. A doctor was asked for. Again, this got much laughter from the audience who thought it was part of the show. But no, he was taken to hospital and pronounced dead on arrival from this heart attack at the age of 62. His ashes were scattered in the Golders Green Cemetery. Now, his affair with Windsor was the basis of the National Theatre play I just mentioned, Cleo Camping Emmanuel and Dick, and its subsequent film adaptation called Blimey, all by Terry Johnson. And it's a very good play. From what I remember, I really enjoyed it, and at least partially in terms of dealing with the relationship of an older man with a younger woman, but also his kind of bitterness and frustration about being perceived as being the same character as he is in the films, because he did seem to have generally been a bit in love with her. So in the stage play, and indeed in Called Blimey, he was played by the actor called Geoffrey Hutchings. The character is also played in a TV film, Kenneth Williams' Fantabulosa, which was a Michael Sheen drama. Michael Sheen as Kenneth Williams.
It's really good.
He's played by an actor called Jed McKenna, and I will finish by trying to point out a reasonably odd coincidence. Do you know what Geoffrey Hutchings and Jed McKenna have in common?
Other than both playing Sid James.
They both fucked Barbara Windsor.
No, they did not, as far as I'm aware. I will give these guys a clue. These guys have seen Jed McKenna in a play.
They've both
worked with John Doherty?
That is the correct answer. I was in a play called Flight at the National Theatre with Geoffrey Hutchings, who was a very... He was a very coursing man. He was very funny, very dry and dark-humoured. And Jed McKenna played Sigmund Freud when I played Salvador Dali with my very, very Spanish appearance.
Well, if we're playing this game, Best Pick listeners, I'm sure I know I've mentioned it before, but my biggest kind of connection to, British comedy, I think, is that I got to work with Barbara Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I did an episode. So the 2 big soaps, as we talked about, were, Coronation Street and EastEnders, and I got to do an episode of EastEnders in 2008. And it was very brief. It was meant to be a longer storyline, but different things happened. But basically, I kind of couldn't believe how starstruck I was, because I was a bit like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. Like, I've been going to RADA, and I I've met Alan Rickman. I'll be fine. I was not fine.
Yeah.
She radiated light. She walked straight up to me, didn't know who I was, had one scene with me, grabbed my hand, squeezed it, and went, "Hello, darling," and I just melted.
Wow.
Yeah, I can
And
see that.
she was so warm and funny on her lines, and like, "Oh, what am I saying? Oh my God, okay," and just so everything you wanted her to be, and it was a real, not a great fun scene for her. She had to just look a bit aghast at her, another character's shenanigans, but she just brought it, and she really did. She really lit up a room. She just was. She was that woman, and she was beautiful. She was so
cool.
gorgeous. So yeah, it's my Carry On connection.
And then just to reiterate, my Carry On connection is Jim Dale spoke at my commencement ceremony.
There you go.
And I also saw him in Three Penny Opera on Broadway.
Very cool.
When Alan Cumming did it. It was Alan Cumming, Cyndi Lauper, Jim Dale, Anna Gasteyer. It was freaking.
Wow.
That's why I was like, wait, how old is he? Because he was
Yeah.
so. When he did the commencement, when I saw him in Three Penny Opera, he's so vital that. Okay, so what's your connection,
Yeah, Tom?
How are you connected to Three Penny? Not Three Penny Opera. Carry On.
I think I'm drawing a blank.
You've got to
have a think over the
something.
movie.
I
Maybe
will,
you'll have something for
yes.
the second half.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I just find this very entertaining. I did look up the age difference between Sid James and Barbara Windsor, which is roughly 24 years.
Okay.
But what I particularly loved was the AI overview was what came up on Google, and I glanced at that, and it has this glorious sentence. We go, during their 10-year off-screen relationship between the 1960s and 70s, the difference remained constant. Yeah, of course it fucking did.
Oh, you
stupid artificial intelligence bastard. You thick idiot.
Oh, I hate
And this is why you should never use AI to write anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, we might do an odd little Wikipedia canter, but no AI in our episodes, I'll tell you that.
All right.
my gosh.
Let's go and watch Carry On, Cleo.
Let's do it. It's giving a funny thing happened on the way to the forum right now.
It's giving asterisks.
Yeah. It's very strange that they. Talbot Rothwell seems to imagine that the Romans invaded Britain around 100,000 BC.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Jim Dale.
That's Jim Dale.
We didn't like the idea of the cost of running water.
Whoa.
Isn't it an advantage? Oh, that's a pretty what? Pretty name?
It was, till I married somebody called Pod.
Well,
So cenopods were a laxative.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sure.
Oh yeah, like yeah, okay.
How much do you want for your wheel? Oh, I don't know. I never saw one before.
It's always, it's a good joke when someone has to explain it to you.
All British comedy explained.
We call it cocky and mean Cornelia, General. We're a mouthful.
So you're saying
We
he's
deserve
like
to be done with a name like that.
our age?
Do with a few captives,
Yes.
General. They fetch 20
Oh yeah, that's a hard.
Yes, well, it'll be
Thin, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard 40.
Right, what is that?
He's 50 technically, so
You're 50?
I'm 50 in about 2 months.
Really?
Yeah,
You're a good 50. He's a hard 50.
he's a hard 50.
Making very irregular soldiers of us all. Oh, I don't know, it's too cold.
I think this is what Caesar was really like. Which one's Kenneth Williams? That's Kenneth Williams. Okay, that's what I thought.
Bristol is Cockney Roman slang.
For
Bristol cities.
From the south, sir.
titties. Ah!
My friend.
All British comedy explained.
All British comedy explained. I want a bath that big with a little floating thing so I can have my snack.
The sets are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, all reused.
This is very cool.
It's like really pretty.
It's definitely the prettiest Carry On I've ever seen.
Yeah. They're not all this.
Aesthetic. That's Hattie, is it?
No, that's Joan Sims.
That's Joan Sims. Ah.
What's her name? Joan Sims?
Joan Sims.
Cheeses from Holland.
I got some Dutch cheeses.
And stones from far off Gaul. She's got gallstones and all. No idea.
It's a long way to go for that guy. It's a long way to go, folks.
My father wants Marcus. Yeah, we're in partnership now, you know. Marcus and Spencer's. It's my card.
I know that joke. Because Marks and Spencer's.
So the blonde is Wanda Ventham, and that's the mother of Benedict Cumberbatch.
The blonde.
Yes.
Oh,
Is who to Benedict Cumberbatch?
This is his mother.
Stop it.
I'm really waiting for Cleopatra to show back up.
Same. I mean, there's queer coded and there's.
To be honest, I want that out.
I mean, it's actually
Like-
it's a sleigh.
Yeah.
It's an absolute sleigh. Like the belt, the laurels, everything.
Yeah. And with those little white
The
boots.
little boots?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? This little cutie patootie.
These do look like they'd be like really fun to be in.
This is it. I mean, the time of your life.
Like, because you know how sometimes you'll watch a comedy and you'll be like, wow, that looks rough. Like,
They hated each other.
But, yeah. Or just like, this is really physical, but it looks really like, it's so silly and joyous that I'm like, oh, I bet they all had a good time doing this. Calm down, Sid.
That is sitcom.
That's historically accurate. That's how the Venus de Milo.
This is in many ways a documentary.
Yeah.
I see Kenneth Williams in an interview because in my head this is
So
what he's
many
like.
Parkinson. He does lots of Parkinson on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Even chat shows throughout the 70s and 80s.
An audience with Kenneth Williams as well. So.
He's a real raconteur.
He's
But like he's not. So like Sid James is kind of being Sid James in a costume, right?
Yeah.
Like Jack Nicholson is always Jack Nicholson. Is Kenneth Williams like that?
Yeah, basically.
But
It's not more so.
less like, but it's sort of more back of the throat. It's actually very beautiful to listen to him talk.
Okay.
It's a little bit more dialed down, but pretty much.
But still a bit like.
And he'll amp it up for the anecdotes and yeah.
She's totally bewitching. Like I totally get what you mean. Like I want more with her.
Yeah.
Like.
Also, she's doing an ever so slightly sophisticated kind of character. Like that's a ditzy but lethal. Like I don't know.
Knows exactly what she's doing. It's
like it's a character who you could see in something now.
Yeah.
She's.
When you hear like an audible yawn during a comedy, that's when
really
you know
struggling.
it's great.
I'm really struggling. I love they were like, don't fucking touch the meat. You can have a few grapes. You can have it, don't fucking touch the meat. It's not real. And it's been sitting there for 4 days.
I'm pretty sure I asked this, but these were shown in cinemas, right?
Yeah. They were.
They weren't straight to TV movies.
Were any of them?
They were all shown on.
They all had a theatrical release.
Yes.
I can't tell if she's giving them Viagra or roofies. This is, by the way, what America thinks Britain's like now.
All right, welcome back. We talked about the way in which sometimes after watching the film, the TV show, it changes the atmosphere, it changes the mood. We come back excited, thrilled, shocked, transformed. I think we're just all a bit kind of drained.
So my question is, are you still speaking to Tom?
Well, here's the thing. You know
is
how
this your Braveheart moment?
at the beginning I was like, is this going to be a tight 90-minute film? Our Carry On films, 90-minute films, and you guys were like, absolutely. Could have been done in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Could have. Yeah. That being said, and we've talked about this before, I think it's hard to watch and enjoy comedy, especially something that stylized at 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I laughed once, but I didn't hate it. I know that's a really weird review of it.
I think, I was sort of thinking, I was feeling the same. I was trying to analyse it, I was just thinking, I'm not loving this, but at the same time, I'm not hating it. It was almost exactly the same thing. I was kind of just, a slightly weird thing to be watching. Yeah. It's never been one of the ones that I've had as my go-to carry-ons, but
you have go-to
carry-ons.
carry-ons.
I don't think I do, but it's the ones where I think of the ones I remember liking.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of remember having a good time with Cowboy and Screaming and Khyber, but this was not kind of on my list.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a long time since I've seen any of them in full or even in part, I think.
Yeah. They were clipped a lot, not just in that compilation film, but also there would be celebrations every so often, or they would just like come up in documentaries. And when you see like the 6 best jokes all in a row, it seems quite good. But the gossamer thin plot, the endless repetition, and there are jokes where you wonder why they bothered. Like towards the end, there was a bit about cut open the carpet and then beat it, which is a joke if you look at it really hard. You sort of wonder why anyone would go to the trouble of actually contriving that, let alone writing it down, giving it to actors, and then filming them saying it.
It's not quite a joke, is it? Because it's like it's wordplay, but it's not something you can ever imagine anyone going, "Oh, I'll actually laugh out loud at that," if you know what I mean.
What was your thoughts of it?
I just feel very dead inside now. No, I think I was hoping for more nostalgic charm, and I think I was hoping for more of that kind of joyful, playful stuff that I spoke about, but I just didn't find it here. I found it so bereft of jokes, and when you go, but hang on, like, there was a lot of funny people in the UK at this time. How is it so bereft of, like, and it isn't about being snobbish, like, and what's a really weird juxtaposition, and I think it's sort of fascinating to study, like, there was a lot of moments where I thought that would be, I know kids who would burst into tears at how funny this is, right? Like when he's hiding in the pot and the little feet going, right? Real, like, almost like very high quality kids humor. But when it's so rooted in sex, that's really uncomfortable, you know? But like, I did watch these as a kid, and so much of it would have gone over my head, and I'm sure lots of it would, because there are sort of sight gags that I think would be just so charmingly perfectly pitched for kids, but then it's all like,
But it is like a kind of juvenile version of sex.
This is pre kindergarten. Come on now, this is like a cartoon. Like this.
It's like the Tex Avery Wolf.
Again, that's more sophisticated in a way. Like there's sort of more. I don't think it's particularly fun or interesting to just pile on to Carry On. You know, it's just not. It's not fun or interesting. So I don't have much to say, and that's not me being like reluctant, but I don't know that I have any clear critique of it. That's actually like. What do you say? It was a different time. It's just not good though, guys. It's not good.
But you know what?
And fuck nostalgia sometimes, you know?
You know what though? I found the actors captivating. Like I said, it's like I want to see more Kenneth Williams, which by the way, he's giving me a short Danny Kaye vibe.
Oh, okay.
Danny Kaye, yes.
Yeah, that's what I get with Amanda Berry. I loved her Cleopatra.
It was very contemporary. It reminded me very much of Morgana Robinson in Toast. It was like a Toast character, and it was really like she was very much like played it like a suitor. And I wonder if actually Toast takes some inspiration from Cleo, because that kind of softly spoken, and it was so funny in Toast. You know?
I might have liked her more than Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, she was like I said, she reminded me of Goldie Hawn at one point, and I think she was doing stuff. She was finding a lot of comedy in just a silly way of presenting herself when she was given not particularly funny lines.
It was a really sort of, certainly in contrast to the others, it was a really sort of naturalistic pitch.
It was really interesting.
And to be fair to the others, most of them are by this point trapped into the persona they've had in the other films. So it's not like Sid James can suddenly kind of largely do the actual speaking Latin with any real conviction, though. He does his best.
I would watch another Carry On film. I would like to watch it at night with friends, like you guys. But I think quintessentially what you need to enjoy a Carry On film in 2026 is a wheat gummy and a glass of wine. Then
I don't even think that would.
I think it would really help.
I think you're putting a lot of weight on the gummy industry.
I would say the thing that kind of just crossed my mind talking about the ones that I remember liking, as I say, so specifically Screaming Cowboy and Khyber, they're all quite violent. The stakes are somewhat higher, because even though there is death in this one, you never kind of, it's about, it's the threat on Caesar's life. We sort of already historically know. Cowboy, literally starts with like John Pertwee being murdered, and the stakes are sort of raised because it's all about a sort of life and death struggles, and Screaming is a horror film parody, and so suddenly there's a lot more death at stake from what I remember, as I say, not having seen it in a while, and I've always thought that there is that thing with a lot of comedy, or a lot of solid narrative comedy, is that there is something dark at its heart, and I'm never quite sure there's anything dark at the heart of Cleo, which sort of slightly takes away from the narrative drive of it for me, where I think if there was actually a solid enough story happening, I would be going along with it a little bit better than I am, and going through, okay, there's some weak jokes, and it's largely peppered with innuendo and cheap puns.
Speaking of which, I do want to address one historical footnote. So infamy, they've all got an infamy. is the most famous line of this film and arguably the most famous line of the series. It was also not written by Talbot Rothwell.
Oh, really?
Who sought permission from the actual writers, Frank Muir and Dennis Norden, who'd included it in a Take It From Here script some years earlier. Permission was granted, but Dennis Norden, to his dying day, was furious that the most famous line he'd ever written was never attributed to him.
Oh, that is annoying.
Sting.
Yeah, sure, have it. Why not?
Yes.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I think I feel like it has more of a place in like to understand the kind of the attitude towards sex, this push and pull is really interesting to look at. This saturation and fear and shame. Like the Carry On series does capture something I think that's quite uniquely British. Because we were more repressed in Ireland. Like we didn't make films like this. There was no sex comedies like this. Like we were essentially a theocracy until the 90s, I would say. When divorce became legal in 1993, we didn't even have divorce.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't have like a kind of a how's your father kind of that just wasn't there. But like yes, the Carry On films were obviously very popular, you know, and a lot like British humor was heavily imported, so we were exposed to it, but we weren't like originating it, or you know, it's so uniquely British, and I think it is an important snapshot. Or kind of time capsule of like how to look at it kind of sociologically and maybe a bit joylessly, I understand, but like just kind of going, how did we get here? How was there such sort of sexiness and proliferation, and yet there was such kind of, oh, it's dirty, it's something nasty in the woodshed, like all this thing. It is really interesting to look at, but it's just still maintain that there is not enough. There's not enough. Full stop. That's it. That's the sentence. To kind of keep it alive or keep looking back, I feel. I just think it's a slog now. And not out of actually dated attitudes or whatever. Genuinely out of, it's not fucking funny.
Is, like we've said, the plot was thin. It felt like it took us forever. I mean, we timed it. We were just over halfway through.
47 minutes.
When we got to Cleo actually showing up.
Yeah.
But that being said, and I know they borrowed the sets from Cleopatra, so I'm very curious to know. I thought it was really pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That is the prettiest little Carry On film you will ever see in your life. And I do thank you for selecting that. Because at least I definitely was able to just like focus on the costumes, the draping. Like, there's a lot to be said for like, even when something is maybe done a bit on the cheap and a bit borrowed and a bit found, when everything is made kind of by hand or like, you know that there was like amazing seamstresses, and there was, you know, like it's solid, it's tangible.
Yeah.
There's something very tasty and crunchy about that for sure.
I can't believe that it released in theaters. To me, what we were watching is like, to me, I'm like, no, this is straight to video. This is, or like a Saturday special. Yeah, there was no video, but or like a TV special. I'm shocked that people went to the theater to see it.
In their droves.
In droves, yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, this is the thing, like, tune off and the silliness of it. Of course, it must have been like tremendous escapism, and also getting to see like a lot of tits and ass. Like,
and also because
and a lot of calves. There's plenty for the mums there too, you know.
Because Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor had been in cinemas the previous year. This was just like so much fun, taking the piss out of this great ballooning behemoth Hollywood production, which had been
I was just thinking they're kind of like
all over the newspapers for 5 years.
Yeah. It's
and like I love scary movies, so like let nobody come at me be like, you're just a snob. It's like, no, I'm down for Cindy and Brenda forever, like.
Please, Dad! Oh my God, run out! We're gonna die! It would have just been you if you would have just shut the fuck up! Someone's coming!
Yeah, well, but I thought the actors were good. Like, there's something about it that I did find quite charming. As someone who's never seen it before, I was like, and like we said, it's like maybe it was the repertory aspect. It looked like it was really fun to do. Like, it wasn't good, but I'm quite charmed by it. If that makes any sense.
Could be an Irish-English thing as well, you know, where we're just like, what's wrong with you? Get yourselves on.
get it together. What? Why are you being like this? Why are you being weird? You're being so weird.
They are being
That was like a lot of that. Just was like, oh, just kind of maybe it's like too close rather than there's like enchantment. Remove lens enchantment, right? And we do not have that. We're not enchanted.
Also, there are a few things I did keep noticing, that there are a lot of jokes that it's not dated, not in the sense of attitudes or anything like that. There are just references and like phrases and common sayings where it's all a little bit like, okay, as I say, we have to like sit out and get the footnotes out to figure out and understand what the jokes are. And that and when those are a good chunk of the jokes, and contemporary references a good chunk of the jokes, it's very hard to like keep up the momentum. So when actual jokes turn up, you're going to go, that's probably a reasonably nice joke. You've not quite got that rolling humour of it that kind of makes it funnier.
Oh, something I clocked that I thought was interesting, because we've watched so many shows where, like, of this time area where everyone is speaking in RP.
Yes.
And I was like, look at all the accents. Look at like all the different parts of Britain being like well, not Scotland. But it wasn't all people being like, oh really, darling, you know?
Oh no, it's very much a lot of this, you know.
Yeah.
A little bit more working class. And I will say, like, my favorite, actually that sounded quite South African or New Zealand. But exactly, I was gonna say, but that's the thing, no wonder it kind of it's easy for him to kind of go into that, because there is like a heritage there. But I loved Sheila Hancock's opening monologue. Yeah. Now that was probably my favourite bit, because I love that accent. There's a brilliant Catherine Tate sketch where like a policeman gets knocked in the head and he wakes up in like the 1930s, yeah, and he's like, oh, you keep your eyes front and you have small speak about that, and it doesn't make any sense. And I love that particularly. It's a really hard accent to nail, and that's why I'm always very drawn to it. I'm always trying to work on it.
She's ADR throughout that scene.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, the ADR was strong with that one.
Maybe wonder if it was her voice.
I think
it is her voice, because I can recognise her. I've seen her on a thing.
She's so wonderful.
I was trying to think of the word as we were watching it. I was like, is this dubbed? Yeah, it was ADR.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, incidentally, we do have to cover that thing because we reference this when we're watching it. This thing, the bizarre time period of the British sequences.
That was fantastic.
Yes, Tom Rothwell's got it into his head that the Romans invaded Britain around the same time that Raquel Welch was watching in her.
I'm expecting her to pop out.
And obviously, I mean, to criticise the film for historical accuracy is perhaps missing the point somewhat.
But that is a bit whack. That was a bit wackadoo.
The overall joke. You compared it to a funny thing happened on the way before, which is Borscht Bill comedians suddenly cropping up in togas, and so here we have like these recognisable stereotypes from the Jewish East End barrow boy selling the slaves.
I loved him.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, it was Warren Mitchell.
So good.
So that's the joke, but the joke that the Romans invaded in prehistoric times doesn't actually seem to be a joke, more just like somebody really doesn't know his history.
It just kind of makes zero sense. And that's the thing, you kind of need, even if it doesn't have to be historically accurate, at least feels like a coherent world.
Yes, exactly.
And like if you're referencing a specific time period, don't break it on that level.
Or at least if you're going to break it the way the Blazing Saddles does.
Oh yeah. Consciously.
Walk off the set into the studio backlot.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, I think there's some fun stuff in the plotting. I do genuinely really like the idea of like Kenneth Connor continually not being involved in fights, but somehow appearing to win them just through contrivance and fast plotting. That's quite neat.
That was nice. Yeah.
It's all a bit kind of lumbering though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I think I thought this could do with like a really tightened edit.
If we just
let's do the fan edit of Carry On Cleo.
55 minutes.
55 is generous.
I really think if it was 45 minutes, we would have been like, funniest thing we've ever seen.
Well, I still don't know about that.
Would you like to hear some contemporary reviews?
Yeah.
These are pretty thin on the ground because they were churning them out by this stage. But the Times sniffed at it, saying the formula does not really lend itself to this particular form, and in addition, there are distinct signs of tiredness in the writing. I would remind you, this is the 11th film of 31.
Yeah, well.
Corny jokes and even blue jokes are acceptable enough in broad farce, but few of them bear much repetition when the same wordplay on phrases like "at her toilet" are repeated ad infinitum. Even the most farce-oriented spectator will probably find it also ad nauseam.
I don't disagree.
That has more weight than a lot of the,
But in their celebration of 60 years of Carry On in 2018, the BFI named Cleo the best of the series, describing it as rife with knockabout energy, puns, and visual gags.
It's just pretty to look at. That's why they picked that one.
But the lack of energy is the thing that really kind of...
I'm not sure I can think of that many visual
25,
gags.
30-minute sag where it's just like, I was like, what's even happening? I don't even know what's happening. Whereas then there was like a bit of plot at the end that was quite funny. And I think the anchor of it was your man losing all it, like managing to win all these fights and then actually like taking the sword.
Yeah, that was quite fun. They had a nice little show.
And he's very winning, you know.
I always like a bit of Kenneth Connor.
Yeah.
By the way, the constant at her toilet, is there a joke there that I don't understand other than like she's in the toilet? Like they're just saying toilet instead of bathroom or something?
Toilet means like putting on her makeup.
Yeah, it used to have the connotations of like...
It's not having a shit.
Oh, it's not like she's in the toilet.
No.
Like,
but the joke is like, oh, we're saying Cleopatra's at the toilet, when actually it's not rude. Like, back then, that would have been historically accurate about her, like, you know, just having her, like...
Because you guys know in America, we don't say toilet. You know, like, in America, if you go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. So the toilet thing, I was like, oh, like this it almost felt like a North American not understanding like that she's in the toilet because we wouldn't.
Yeah, that makes a degree of sense. Yeah.
No.
Jess.
I always forget about this bit.
Can you somehow carry on Cleo in a single sentence?
Would anyone else like to take it?
I thought of infamy. It's not really infamy.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Now, normally at this point we ask, did the Academy get it right? The Academy declined to nominate this or any carry-on film in any category
This
ever.
is such a surprise.
I assume we're all on board with that.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, even the Elizabeth Taylor Cleopatra didn't do particularly well.
Didn't it get nominated for like best costumes or something?
I'm sure there got a few nominations. Yeah. I have to go back to the episode to check, but. Yeah, this is not the kind of thing which normally.
I mean, what year is this again?
64.
That particular year, I was looking up the top films in the box office, trying to find the UK box office, and I found the American box office, which I'd obviously found before for the podcast, but it reads like the UK box office. The Brits are dominating.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very broad church, and I think it's important to have a broad church in culture, and I think it's important that like. I'm not mad that Carry On exists, and it's just, it's not for me, but it's like somewhere to go and just completely switch off and have just people doing silly shit in funny accents. Fair enough, go at it. But if there was just a bit more wit, it's kind of a testament to how much I rate British comedy that I feel so let down. By this, because I'm looking for that. There's so much charm abounds and so many other things, you know, and it's not a snobbery thing. I promise you, it really, really isn't. It's just those films were pounded out sausage factory style.
This is it.
And it's
30
just
films in 20 years.
When they're that disposable, I feel that disposability.
They were made cheaply. They were never expected after the first few to set the box office on fire, but they always were profitable.
I mean, like you kind of nailed it a little earlier. They're kind of like the not another scary movie, not another teen movie of the time.
Yeah.
And those started to come out in like the early aughts.
Yeah.
And at first we were all like, these are amazing. And then after a while, you're like, we get it.
Yeah, and Not Another Date movie I think is the nadir of that. That is outrageously bad. Whereas Not Another Teen movie is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Is that the Chris Evans one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So funny. Why is she still here? She graduated 4 years ago. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid.
I think watching this, there's at least part of me thinking, well, a few things. It might be worth trying one of the black and white ones because that's before it turns into the sort of the bawdy seaside humour thing. So with a different writer, it might have a different vibe. And I am also quite tempted to go and try Screaming and Cowboy again, just to kind of go, let me see what those are like it because those are ones that there are. That did strike me. I think I remember seeing Cowboy surprisingly late and going, oh no, this one's dark.
Is Carry On Screaming like a Hammer horror kind of thing?
Yes.
So is it good?
I mean,
this is the thing. I can't really unequivocally say that on the basis of going, I haven't seen
Harry
the
H.
one.
Corbett's in it, which is quite a treat.
Who?
Harry H. Corbett.
Yeah.
Center.
Oh right, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
I can remember, kind of at least one of his jokes being, quite good. And but again, that's the thing. You see the clips of it, and you get to hear those and Frying Tonight, and I'll take down anything. So all right, then trousers, all those sort of things. But it's just like
Just to pitch it, I think you guys should watch the Carry On horror film 1 week and then watch Not Another Scary Movie another week and compare the spoofiness of them. I don't know if you guys would do anything like that, but I think that's kind of interesting.
I don't think I'm going to get got again, if I'm honest.
Okay,
you got me, Salinsky. I'm not going to get got again.
Now, movies are not eligible for the Shelf of Fame.
No.
Abigoliah, but can I assume that if they were, this one would
absolutely not.
This would not inaugurate.
But I did. I seriously, there's something about it I found so charming, and maybe because it was so visually scrumptious. Because sometimes I'll watch an old movie. It might even be one that is quite famous, and I'm like, I don't care about this at all, but I just think it's pretty to look at, and like I said, I found Kenneth Williams. I'm like, I need to know more about him.
Yeah, he's fascinating. He's so compelling. Yeah.
And Amanda Berry again. She is quite captivating as a human, and Sid James I thought was really given it all and was rooted. There were parts where Kenneth Williams, so the way the camera was, it's like he's speaking out to people, and his eyes never focused. You know what I mean? It's like he's just staring at a wall. Whereas Sid James, they'd cut to him and it'd be like, oh, you are quote unquote seeing people. Like he is acting in it. He's just given a...
One moment I really liked, I will say, is like when he takes the substance that makes you horny and makes you attractive. Well, not like it makes you sexually powerful.
Yes,
and he turns to Kenneth Williams and he's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I actually thought the fact that there wasn't like a shaming moment when Kenneth Williams is like, no, stay on task. I need you to bone Cleopatra. Yes. And he's like, yeah, that probably would be better. He's not like going, oh yeah.
Disgusted with himself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, okay. There's something kind of really unshaming about that. And I thought that was kind of cool.
That's why I say I think that this kind of version of sex is kind of infantile. It's almost like, and this is maybe not something which will work for John, but it's like Harpo Marx chasing after pretty girls. Like, you're not quite sure he'd know what to do with them if he caught them.
Yeah, but there's no dominant kind of like the men like Sidney James emerging from Cleopatra completely ravaged.
Yeah.
He's like not able to walk. She's fine.
Yeah.
And that's quite cool. Like I did enjoy that as well. There wasn't like...
But it's also like he emerges fully clothed and the sex seems to be like leap on top of someone and all of your clothes are fully on. How are you doing this? This isn't the room.
But it's so weird. All this childlike kind of sort of stuff juxtaposed with it. But like what I kind of liked was they have like there was all these like references to the slave girl, but no one was throwing her over the shoulder.
Yeah.
No one was like ravishing her. Like it really was like 12s. Like it really, really was. And I suppose it is a clever property in terms of like, I do want to give it credit for like, I always like things that the whole family can watch. And definitely if I'd seen that at a certain age, so much of it would have gone over my head. And that's fine. And it's kind of nice. We say visually scrumptious, but that's enough flowers for me now. There's no more flowers for me for that.
Abigoliah, I believe you have a book out.
Oh, yeah. So I have a book out called Neurodivergent Moments. So it's out the 18th. So if you're hearing this before the 18th, you get on to the pre-orders. And if you are hearing it after the 18th, just order.
I mean, it's possibly worth specifying the 18th of what? Because people can hear this. This is definitely, when they're hearing it, is around or before an 18th of some description.
June 2026. 18th of June 2026. But I co-wrote it with my other podcast partner, Joe Wells, and we're really proud of it. It's been received well so far. And as far as purchasing it goes, if you follow me on Instagram at Abigoliah, you'll find all the information because I post about it all the time.
Anyone else have anything to promote, advertise, or confess to?
I have a bunch of audiobooks out this summer that I did not write, but I did voice. So if you like hearing me on these podcasts and you want to hear me play a bunch of different characters, please check out The Truth About Ruby Cooper by Liz Nugent, Such a Nice Girl by Andrea Marr, both of which are bestsellers at the moment. Then also I did a beautiful book called Frida Slattery as Herself. And you can look me up on Spotify or Audible to find other titles that I have voiced.
No, I'm good. Nothing to report.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to this crossover episode of All British Comedy Explained with the Best Pick crew. If you liked All British Comedy Explained, we have a Patreon. For £3 a month, you can get all of our episodes ad-free. For £5 a month, you get all of the episodes ad-free, plus our bonus episodes. We have mini episodes. We have watchbacks where we talk about current TV, such as SNL. We're going to start doing some American shows on the Patreon only. So you can do that. And if Patreon isn't in your situation right now and you like the podcast, maybe give us a 5-star review or share it with a friend. We'd really appreciate that. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us, Jessica John.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Anytime.
See you soon. Cheerio. You have been listening to All British Comedy Explained with Abigoliah Schamaun, Tom Salinsky, and special guests John Dorney and Jessica Regan. It was a Spontaneity Shop production for the internet. Find us online at allbritishcomedy.com, join our Facebook group, sign up to our mailing list, or follow us on Instagram or TikTok. Next episode, I Love Lucy.